Today we're going to look at how you do a pentatonic composition. This is probably one of the simplest structures you can use for GCSE music. What we're going to look at is how to do each section, each track, what they look and sound like, and see how it fits together as a structure. So you can see from my screen, I've put in a drum beat. Now this is taken from the library part of the software. You go into the library, you pick from here, you can type in drums or you can choose a drum beat from the list here from the different styles. I'm not going to go into too much detail there because that's pretty simple and it might be the first part that you do when you start composing your music. The next, we need to label each track. So to do this, you can click on here and give them the title you want. So I've gone for a bass, I've gone for chords on guitar, I've gone for a lead, and I've also done bells. So I've got two melody parts, guitar part and bass. Now for this composition, I'm just using the black keys of the keyboard. If I open this and show you the score, you can see here, all of them are either sharps or flats. You can see there. And to listen to it, this is what it would sound like. So you want to keep it nice and simple, maybe a couple of notes being played over and over again, repeated, before we then add in the second track, which is this one. Now these are the chords because it's the guitar part, and this is what this sounds like. To see it played on the score. And you'll notice each chord is equal distance apart on the keyboard, usually 3 or 4 notes in between. Then we move on to the melody part. And as you can see here again, still working on the black keys. When we play this together, it sounds like this. And that's basically my first section. So if I just play it from the beginning, what's useful to notice with all of the things that I do here is I keep it nice and simple. I don't try and do too many different rhythms. Just keep it simple so things fit together. You'll also notice how I layer the different tracks. So I start off with the drum and bass, I add some chords, and then I do a melody. This is what section A sounds like. Okay, you may have noticed there that when I repeated the chords, they were slightly out of time. So that's something to be aware of, that you might need to move around tracks to make sure they fit directly in time with the drum beat. Otherwise, you will have marks taken away. Now, we're going to move on to section B. You can see this is laid out slightly differently. I've gone for a slightly slower tempo. 122 was the starting tempo. I've gone down to 100. And this time I've only got 2 parts. So when you look at this, I've got some chords. Again, I'm still using the black keys. Some long held notes to form the chords for the funky guitar part. And then for the bell part, I've got something that looks like this. So again, something maybe quaver type based melody, but you can see quite conjunct, doesn't move around too much. But when played together, it sounds like this. In your composition briefs, they normally asked for a contrasting mood or atmosphere in a second section, so we can tell we've definitely changed. You can hear here just from the different sounds, the different notes, the fact that it's a slower tempo at this point. It's a definite contrast to what we had at the beginning. I then bring in the bass line, which will look like this. And again, really simple. I've used 2 or 3 notes, a bit like I did at the beginning. So I've got what, D sharp, F sharp, C sharp, D sharp and F sharp again. So I've used 3 notes to make a bass line that sounds like this. So when you play it here, you can see. And that's as simple as I can make it. If I put it together with the drums, you'll hear this. So there you have it, the section B. I've sort of split it into 2. I've got the long held notes there making the chords with the bell melody over the top before going into a sort of drum and bass that's different to what we had at the beginning. I now bring back section A again, but slightly different this time. So yeah, the main thing I've changed there is the tempo. You can see there 140. You might wonder what else has changed. It is really mainly the tempo. What I would suggest you do when you bring a section back at the end, like we've done here, I've basically copied and pasted it on the end. You really want to make the melodies slightly different, or maybe the chords or something, so it's not quite the same, but it's not completely different either. So that's my initial thoughts on how to do a pentatonic composition. If you're a person who doesn't find composition easy, it's probably a good start because it's just using the black keys on a keyboard, particularly if you're not a keyboard player either. And you'll find that you can soon get tracks to fit together and it should work quite well. My advice would be to pick the drum beat first, so that'll give you the style of music you want to compose in, because there's lots of different styles you can do with pentatonic. Have a go and see how you get on. Good luck.